sunny day seemed perfectly ordinary and peaceful. George was riding his bright red bicycle along the familiar path near home. The wheels began to squeak loudly and unnaturally. The sound echoed through the empty street ominously, warning of something sinister. A strange yellow figure appeared from around the corner. It was Labubu with a frightening smile and glowing symbols in his eyes. Labubu approached without making any sound. His paws left yellow smoking traces on the dark asphalt below. George tried desperately to ride away, but the pedals spun by themselves. The bicycle wouldn't obey his commands anymore. Labubu extended his dark paw and whispered incomprehensible words. They sent a terrible chill down the spine. The sky darkened rapidly, though it was still morning. Dark clouds gathered ominously above them both. Peppa looked out the window and saw her brother with a stranger. Something about the scene was deeply frightening. She ran quickly to Daddy Pig, but when they returned, George had completely vanished. Only the bicycle remained. Labubu stood nearby and stared directly at the house. His yellow eyes glowed much brighter than before. Daddy Pig ran out frantically to search for his son. Labubu dissolved into thin air, leaving yellow smoke. George was found sitting in the basement. He sat there quietly, repeating strange, incomprehensible words. Mummy Pig tried to talk to him, but he looked right through her. Mysterious symbols reflected in his eyes. Dr. Brown Bear understood nothing at all. George was perfectly healthy, but behaved very strangely. At night, George went slowly to the window. Labubu waited there patiently, beckoning into the darkness. Peppa followed carefully as her brother opened the door. Labubu walked ahead into the night. They reached an old abandoned house. Labubu disappeared mysteriously inside the dark building. Strange, eerie sounds came from the house. George stepped across the threshold and vanished inside. Peppa ran for help, but the house was completely empty. A yellow medallion lay on the floor. George sat at home as if nothing had happened, but now he wore the mysterious medallion. Every night, Labubu appears under the window. He stands there and waits for his friend. George no longer plays with toys. He only stares out the window and whispers strange words. The family doesn't know what to do anymore. George remained with them, but changed forever. Peppa Pig's house always seemed like the safest place, full of warmth and joy. But today came a letter that would change everything forever. Grandpa Pig received an invitation from an old friend. The yellow envelope smelled of seawater and something strange. The letter was signed with the name SpongeBob SquarePants. Grandpa smiled, remembering his younger days by the sea. Peppa's family gathered for a trip to the sea. Everyone was excited to meet Grandpa's mysterious old friend. The road to SpongeBob's house seemed endless and long. The landscape became increasingly dark and desolate around them. The friend's house looked like a giant pineapple, but something about its appearance caused deep unease. SpongeBob greeted the guests with a wide smile. His eyes seemed too bright and completely unnatural. Inside the house reigned a strange atmosphere of silence. The walls were covered with paintings of empty eyes. At the dinner table, SpongeBob told stories cheerfully. His voice sounded mechanical, completely without any emotions. Peppa noticed that food on plates was moving. Tiny tentacles wiggled in the jelly and soup. George tried to play with the host's toys. All toys stared at him with empty, lifeless eyes. Daddy Pig asked about the bathroom politely. SpongeBob pointed to a door with an ominous smile. In the bathroom, the water was black as tar. Thick, dark liquid dripped slowly from the faucet. Mummy Pig heard strange sounds from the basement. It sounded exactly like a child's crying. Grandpa Pig began remembering his old friend clearly. But memories seemed foggy and somehow distorted. SpongeBob offered to show his photograph collection proudly. In all pictures, people looked terrified and scared. New portraits appeared on the living room walls. They depicted members of Peppa's family perfectly. Peppa tried to open the front door desperately. The handle wouldn't turn, as if locked from inside. The house windows began slowly darkening by themselves. Outside, it was becoming darker and darker. SpongeBob continued smiling that same unchanging smile. His teeth seemed sharp like needles. The family realized they were completely trapped inside. Grandpa's old friend was not what he seemed. SpongeBob's eyes glowed with red light in darkness. His laughter echoed throughout the entire house. At the last moment, Grandpa remembered the truth. His friend had disappeared in the sea years ago. The house began dissolving like a desert mirage. The family found themselves on an empty beach. SpongeBob stood in the waves and waved goodbye. His silhouette slowly disappeared in the sea foam. Peppa's house always seemed like the safest place in the world. But tonight something sinister lurks behind the glowing screen. Peppa sits comfortably watching her favorite SpongeBob cartoon. The familiar yellow character dances happily on screen. Suddenly, the television screen begins to flicker strangely. SpongeBob's cheerful smile slowly transforms into something terrifying. Red eyes replace the innocent blue ones. Sharp teeth emerge where a gentle smile used to be. The evil SpongeBob presses against the screen from inside. Glass begins to crack under his supernatural pressure. With a horrifying crash, the monster breaks through. Evil SpongeBob emerges into Peppa's living room. Peppa screams in terror as the nightmare becomes reality. The creature towers over her with glowing red eyes. Evil SpongeBob's laugh echoes through the house menacingly. His sharp teeth gleam in the dim light. Mama Pig rushes downstairs, hearing Peppa's frightened cries. She freezes, seeing the terrifying yellow monster. The evil creature turns his attention to Mama Pig. His red eyes burn with malicious intent and hunger. Papa Pig appears but immediately backs away in horror. The family huddles together against the supernatural threat. Evil SpongeBob begins to grow larger and more threatening. His presence fills the entire room with darkness. The monster reaches out with twisted yellow hands. He wants to drag the family into his television world. Peppa tries to run but finds herself trapped. Evil SpongeBob blocks every escape route with supernatural speed. The creature opens a portal back to the television. Dark energy swirls around the glowing screen menacingly. One by one, family members are pulled toward the portal. They cannot resist the evil SpongeBob's supernatural power. Peppa watches helplessly as her parents disappear into the screen. She realizes she will be next victim. Evil SpongeBob grabs Peppa with his cold yellow hands. She feels herself being dragged toward the television portal. The living room becomes empty and silent once more. Only the flickering television remains as evidence. Inside the screen, the family is trapped forever. They can only watch as evil SpongeBob seeks new victims. The television turns itself on every night automatically. Evil SpongeBob waits patiently for unsuspecting children. His red eyes scan through the screen constantly. The monster searches for his next innocent victims. Susie Sheep comes to visit Peppa with a special gift, but something about her seems strange and frightening. Susie gives Peppa a small green labubu creature as present. Her eyes glow unnaturally bright and eerie. Peppa happily accepts the gift and hugs Labubu tightly. She doesn't notice its evil, sinister smile. At night, Labubu comes alive in Peppa's bedroom. Its eyes burn with bright green radioactive light. Labubu starts dripping poisonous green slime on Peppa's toys. Everything around begins to rot and decay. In the morning, Peppa finds her toys ruined and damaged. Labubu pretends to be an ordinary stuffed toy. Susie comes to visit again the next day. She behaves very strangely and in a creepy manner. Peppa tells Susie about her ruined toys and problems. Susie only smiles in a sinister, evil way. Mummy Pig notices that Susie looks different somehow, but she cannot understand what exactly has changed. At night, Labubu comes alive again with glowing eyes. It ruins family photos with poisonous dripping slime. Peppa wakes up and sees Labubu moving around. She screams in terror and absolute horror. Parents rush to help, but Labubu pretends to be toy. Nobody believes Peppa's frightening story. Susie comes in the morning and suggests going to forest. She wants to play with labubu there. In the dark forest, Susie leads Peppa to Old Hut. A terrifying witch lives in that place. The witch emerges from the hut and thanks fake Susie. She brought another victim for her plans. Peppa understands the horrible truth about her situation. This Susie is not her friend, but evil double. In a cage near the hut sits real Susie. She cries and begs desperately for help and rescue. The witch explains that fake Susie helps her catch children. She uses labubu as magical trap. Labubu transforms into huge monster with dripping slime. Its poison becomes even more dangerous and toxic. Peppa tries to run away from the forest, but fake Susie and witch surround her completely. Dr. Bear searches for missing Peppa everywhere, but he goes in the wrong direction, unfortunately. Peppa's family thinks she is playing with Susie safely. They don't suspect any danger or trouble. In the forest, witch prepares magical spell ritual. Fake Susie helps her with dark ceremony. Real Susie remains trapped in the cage forever. Nobody knows that she is imprisoned there. Labubu guards the prisoners with poisonous abilities. Escape from this place is completely impossible. Peppa Pig's house always seemed like a safe place, but nobody suspected what dark secrets the circus would bring. A mysterious circus arrived in the peaceful town. All residents eagerly awaited the magical performance. The main tent displayed the director's colorful sign. Evil Shrek smiled menacingly from all the posters. Peppa's family bought tickets for the evening show. Daddy Pig was especially excited about the performance. The circus arena sparkled with bright, colorful lights. Spectators filled every seat in anticipation. Evil Shrek emerged as the charismatic ringmaster. His voice sounded mesmerizing and deeply hypnotic. Acrobats flew gracefully under the dome like birds. Clowns entertained the audience with magical tricks. Trained animals performed complex and amazing numbers. Spectators applauded every performance with great enthusiasm. After the show, families slowly went home. Everyone looked strangely calm and emotionless. The next day, some neighbors didn't come out. Their windows remained dark throughout the day. Peppa noticed the rabbit family had vanished completely. Their house stood empty and abandoned. The circus announced a new evening performance. Remaining residents bought tickets again with enthusiasm. The second show was even more mesmerizing. Evil Shrek hypnotized viewers with his glowing red eyes. After the second show, more families disappeared. The sheep and zebra houses emptied forever. Peppa tried desperately to warn her parents, but adults wouldn't listen to her words. The third performance gathered the last remaining residents. Evil Shrek looked triumphantly at the audience. During the show, spectators fell into deep trances. Their eyes became empty and lifeless. After the third show, the town completely emptied. Only the circus continued glowing with lights. Evil Shrek stood alone in the middle of arena. His evil smile illuminated the tent. The circus packed up and moved to another town. Evil Shrek searched for new audiences. In empty houses, only children's toys remained behind. Wind wandered through the deserted streets. Evil Shrek's circus continues traveling between different towns. He always seeks new audiences for shows. If you see bright circus posters with his name, better not buy tickets for the performance. Peppa's family went to summer camp. The place seemed perfect for a peaceful vacation. The road home disappeared completely. Nobody could find the way out of the dark forest. Phones stopped working entirely. Connection to the outside world was lost forever and completely. Daddy Pig maintains his composure carefully, but his eyes reveal growing fear and anxiety inside. Mummy Pig cooks dinner with trembling hands. The food becomes increasingly strange and unappetizing. George plays with his toys silently. His usual cheerful laughter is no longer heard anywhere. At night, strange sounds in the forest. Something big and terrifying moves between the trees. Grandpa Pig behaves very strangely now. He talks to invisible creatures around him constantly. Granny Pig forgets family names completely. Her gaze becomes empty and completely absent from reality. A yellow figure appears in camp. Labubu watches the family from a safe distance carefully. Daddy Pig starts digging a deep hole. He claims he is searching for an exit desperately. Mummy Pig stops cooking food entirely. She only stares at one fixed point in space. George talks to his toys constantly. They answer him with strange and very eerie voices. Grandpa Pig disappears for a whole day. He returns with completely empty and lifeless eyes. Granny Pig draws strange, mysterious symbols. She cannot remember her own name anymore at all. Labubu approaches closer to camp slowly. His yellow eyes glow brightly in the darkness around. Daddy Pig digs deeper and deeper frantically. The hole becomes similar to a freshly dug grave. Mummy Pig sings a haunting lullaby. The words of this song frighten everyone around her. George stops being a child completely. His behavior becomes adult and very creepy and disturbing. Labubu enters the camp openly now. Nobody tries to stop him from entering their space. The family gathers around the hole. They look down with completely empty and expressionless faces. Labubu explains the rules of this world. Isolation has changed them all forever and irreversibly. Peppa realizes there is no exit possible. The camp has become their permanent home for eternity. The family accepts new reality calmly. Sanity is no longer needed in this strange place. Labubu stays with them forever now. The isolated camp gained new permanent residence for life.